On today's show, we're going to make a baked macaroni and cheese.
Mouth-watering family recipes, easy-to-make meals, humor and faith fill the inspiring show Dano on the Counter. Born with only half a spine, Dano Burkhardt was never supposed to be able to hold his head up. Despite countless surgeries, a stroke, leg amputations, and kidney transplants, Dano developed a contagious love for life. Join Dano as he shares his easy-to-make dishes and the hope that keeps him pushing forward.
For our baked macaroni and cheese, you're going to need 16 ounces of macaroni noodles, a third cup of butter, a third cup of flour, a half teaspoon of white pepper, a half teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 3.5 cups of milk, 8 ounces of medium sharp cheddar cheese, and 8 ounces of extra sharp cheddar cheese. All right, so for our baked macaroni and cheese, we're gonna need some mild cheddar and some sharp cheddar. You're gonna need about 8 ounces of each. So we'll grab, this is about a pound, so we should be good there. We're gonna shred our own, of course, and then we'll grab some milk and our macaroni. All right, so we're gonna need our milk to make our cheese sauce. So you can either use like whole milk or half and half or something like that. You could use 2%, but you need something that has a little bit more fat in it to make it more richer. It's gonna taste so much better. So we'll grab some whole milk and we'll grab our pasta and we should be good to go. All right, so for our macaroni and cheese, of course, we're gonna need some macaroni, so we've got some elbows here. We need about 16 ounces, that's one box. So we should be able to mix this with our cheese and make our cheese sauce, and we'll throw it in the oven. Should be delicious.
Your bonus card has been accepted. Place your item in the bagging area.
Hi, my name is Dad Dick,
And I'm Aiden. We're the 5th generation of Dick's Home Care.
and our family is here for your health.
If you're considering a lift chair, call or stop in and see us at Dick's Home Care. Our chairs come in a wide variety of fabrics and finishes. We even have chairs that are able to be closer to your wall in case you have a small space.
Dick's Home Care, Central Pennsylvania's leader in mobility products.
Impact Productions, a multi-layer technology company providing on-site, online, and in-studio video services. Contact Impact Productions to capture your story.
Hey y'all, welcome into the kitchen today. Today we're gonna make a quick and easy homemade baked macaroni and cheese. Hopefully it's good and cheesy and creamy. Something that we make here a lot here at home, and hopefully you can make it at home as well. We're going to start by just melting some butter. We're going to make a roux that we've made a few times on the show here. And we're just going to start by melting some butter, and then we'll add our flour to that. And then we'll add our milk and cheese. And it's a really simple cheese sauce that we're going to do today. And then we're just going to throw this over some macaroni noodles. And then we'll throw it in the oven for a little bit and get it nice and crispy on top. Everybody likes that crispy, burnt, cheesy topping on top. So we have our butter there melted. Once it's melted there, we're just going to add our flour. And like I said, we're just going to make a roux here. It's almost like a butter paste that we're going to use to thicken up all the sauces. So you can see this is already starting to thicken up. And we're just going to kind of mix this all together, kind of almost till it browns, but not till you can actually, you don't want it too dark that it's going to change the color of your sauce. But who doesn't love macaroni and cheese, right? And so many people make it out of the box, but if you have the time to make it yourself, it does taste so much better. And it's a great side dish for summer, to take it to barbecues or to take it to work or to have at home. It's a real flexible side dish for you to have for you and your family. So we have our roux there, come together pretty good. All right, so we have our roux done there, and then we're just going to start adding our milk, probably about in thirds. And we'll just whisk that in there. Make sure there's no lumps. And this will thicken up. Turn our heat back up. Pretty much same sauce you make for anything, from an Alfredo to we used on the chicken tetrazzini. We just started with that roux, and then you add your cream and then whatever cheeses you want. Let's add some more milk in there. Just stirring that up, whisking it, getting all that flour and butter inside all that milk. And as it becomes a thicker sauce, then we'll start adding our cheese. Now, you can go ahead and season this if you want to add some salt. I usually don't, just because the cheese has so much salt in it already. But you're just going to add usually about 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper. And then I like a little cayenne pepper in my macaroni and cheese. Adds that little bit of heat to it. Adds that little bit of extra flavor. It's really good. This is apparently a new one. So you can kind of judge this however much you want to put in here, but I wouldn't go any more probably than 1/4 of a teaspoon. And we'll just kind of eyeball it here, and then continue to stir that up. Mix that pepper and that cayenne pepper. So you can see that sauce is already starting to thicken up. I mean, what a great combination if you make the baked beans from the show, the macaroni and cheese, and some chicken or some burgers or something like that on the grill. It would be a great combination there. All these side dishes to go together really well. Let's continue to stir that up until it gets good and thick. Then we'll add our cheeses. We're going to add about half of our cheese now, and then another half of our cheese on top, and then we'll throw it in the oven at like 350. And we'll bake it for about 45 minutes until it gets nice and bubbly and crispy on top. All right, so we have our roux and our milk combined there. We have our spices in there. You can see this is really thickened up. And then we're just gonna add our cheese to this now. Like I said, about 3/4 or a little over half our cheese in here. Just gonna add a little bit at a time. And this is sharp, mild, and our extra sharp cheddar cheese. So we're just gonna melt that all in there, turn our heat down because this is starting to boil a little bit. It should start changing color. And the cheese gets all melted in there. Looks pretty good. Going to be a nice golden color. And once that's all mixed together, then we're just going to cook our elbow macaroni. Cook it, instructions on the box, just boil your water, put your noodles in there. You can salt it if you want, and then you're going to cook it for about 8-9 minutes. And it'll give you a nice al dente there to the noodles, and should be good to go. Then we're just going to combine the two, and we're going to throw it in the oven, and we will bake it for a little while. So we'll go ahead and switch over to our noodle dish here. All right, so we have our noodles cooked here, and we have our cheese sauce done. We're just going to combine the two. Look at that cheese sauce. Look, it's amazing. We're gonna mix that up. Toss that all together. That is hot. I mean, who wouldn't want to dive into that at your next family function or next dinner? Get all that cheese and noodles mixed together. Everybody in the pool, nobody gets left out. Coat all those noodles. Add a little bit more. That sauce. Smell that spices in there, that cayenne kind of coming out. Now it's been cooked a little bit. We got our cheese nice and creamy. Our noodles covered. Now we're just gonna pop this baby in the oven, about 350 for, I don't know, half an hour maybe, something like that. We get a nice golden brown on top. Cover it, a little bit more cheese on top. Lots of cheese on top. This looks looks pretty awesome. I'm pretty impressed with myself actually, but we'll pop this in the oven. And while we bake this off, we're going to head in the studio for hopefully an inspirational message.
Made by Vogel is a father and son business that produces high-quality handmade wooden products such as cutting boards, bowls, bottle stoppers, and more. Products for sale can be found on their Etsy site or in downtown Altoona at the Clay Cup. You can't go wrong buying from Made by Vogel.
Hi, my name name is Dad Dick,
And I'm Aiden. We're the 5th generation of Dick's Home Care.
and our family is here for your health.
If you're looking for a stair lift, I would definitely recommend Bruno stair lifts. The reason people get Bruno stair lifts from Dick's Home Care is it keeps them in the home that they love. We also have a rental program on the stair lifts. My customers coming back to me saying, I'm so glad I bought this.
Dick's Home Care, Central Pennsylvania's leader in mobility products.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me here in the studio today. I just want to share with you guys one of the most impactful stories that I've ever been through in my life with you guys today, this morning. So when I was 9 years old, I was actually in a house fire. And for you that are just tuning in, no, that's not where I lost my legs. That's not where my legs got burned up in a fire or anything like that. No, I was, of course, born with spina bifida and lost my legs at a young age. Those who've known me or know that watched the show knew that already. But I was in a house fire when I was 9. I was actually in elementary school, and my mom ran a daycare inside our house. And she had went to go pick up one of the other, what do they call them, kids? One of the kids that she was babysitting. She went and picked them up, and my brother had missed the school bus, and he was at home with me. And my mom's like, hey, I'm just gonna run and pick up this kid that I have to babysit for today, and I'm gonna take your brother with me. I was at home sick with a cold, and I was like, all right, I get to stay at home, watch Price is Right, Different Strokes. This is gonna be great, you know. Mom made me some juice and gave me some toast, and I was like, this is great, this is awesome. Got the comics ready to go, and Mom's like, I'll be back in like 20 minutes or whatever. So they leave, and I'm home, and I'm sitting there, and we had a wood stove in our house. I lived out in the state of Washington at the time, and it was the middle of November, so it was getting pretty chilly out, and we had a fire going in our wood stove. And as I'm looking over at the wood stove, I see where we had our paper box, where we kept all of our shredded newspaper and kindling for the fire. And I looked at it, and I saw like some little embers that were on top of the box. And my brother had just loaded up the fireplace before they left, and I knew that he had just put new wood in it, but I don't think he noticed that there was embers there left on the kindling box. So I'm sitting there, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, well, I should, put this out, obviously. It's going to catch the paper on fire. So I crawl off the couch, and I have a pillow that I pull off the couch with me, and I'm dragging it over to the kindling box. And as you guys remember, I wasn't really using my wheelchair that much at this age. I was more crawling everywhere I went around, especially around the house. I would use it I would crawl pretty much everywhere I went. So I would crawl on the ground, and I pulled this pillow with me, and I went over and I start hitting this box. And as I'm hitting this box and hitting these embers, it starts the paper on fire. So it actually makes it worse. Of course, me 9 years old, I had no idea. But pretty soon the whole paper box was on fire. And then pretty soon the whole wall was on fire. And then the entertainment center was on fire. And the rug was on fire. And it's going up the wall. And I'm like, scared to death here. I'm crawling around the house, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of the house now that the house is on fire. And I'm crawling around, and I'm going room to room, and I'm trying to find windows that are open or windows that I can reach. And of course, being on the ground, I couldn't reach any windows, and I was too short to reach the doorknobs. And of course, most of the doors in the house were too heavy for me to even open on my own. So I was crawling around the house, and I'm going room to room, and the house is starting to fill up with smoke. And I go to the front door, and we had like a little bay window, and I open the window, and I'm yelling out, trying to find a neighbor or somebody walking in the street to help me, and nobody comes to rescue me. And I crawl back in the family room, and by the time I get in there, of course, the ceiling and everything is on fire. The whole house is full of smoke, and it's just like a thick layer. You can't even see pretty much the ceiling at that point. But luckily for me, I was on the ground, so I was below the smoke. And I'm crawling around and trying to find a way to get out, and I couldn't find a way to get out. And I'm like, well, elementary school, you learn to call 911 in an emergency. And I'm thinking for a second, I'm like, should I call 911? Because is this really an emergency? Because I knew if I called 911 and, the cops came or the fire trucks came, and I might get in trouble, right? So that was the first fear I had as a little kid, was like, all right, I know I'm not supposed to call this number unless it's an emergency, but I'm pretty sure this is an emergency. So I go to the phone, and it was up on the coffee table, and I couldn't even reach it. I had to pull the cord down on the ground and dialed. Actually, I called my neighbor first. And I called the neighbor, and their line was busy. This is back in the day when they didn't have call waiting or anything like that. I'm like, who could you be talking to? Like, my house is on fire, And finally, I hung up the phone with them, or tried to get through them, and I hung up, and then I called 911, and I talked to the operator, and she's like, what's your emergency? And I'm like, well, I'm in a house, I'm all alone, the house is on fire, and I don't have any legs, and I can't get out. And she's like, well, you have to get out. I'm like, I understand I have to get out, but I don't know how to get out because I can't reach the doors, I can't open the windows, I don't know how to get out, I'm trapped inside. And she's like, well, you got to try your best to get outside. Well, I was crawling around the house still trying to find a way to get out. She told me not to hang up with her, just leave the phone off the hook, and I'm crawling. And of course, it's getting hotter and hotter in the house, and the smoke is getting pretty intense. And I go back to the back door, and I'm like, I should try to get out the sliding glass door. I'm thinking that's going to be the easiest door for me to get out. And I go to the family room in the back patio there with our sliding glass doors, and I'm reaching at this latch, and it's one of those pull latches that if you pull it out, of course, it locks, and you flick it in or push it in, and it unlocks the door. And I'm trying to reach it, and I can't reach it. And I'm trying as hard as I can to reach it, and I still can't reach it. So I end up like propelling myself up with one arm, and I'm just trying as hard as I can to flick open this lock. And finally, after like third or fourth time, it finally unlocks. Now I got the door unlocked. Now I need to open it. So then, I'm just a little kid, 9 years old, no legs, obviously. I'm pretty small at this point, and I'm trying to push this heavy glass door open. And I'm pushing as hard as I can, and it won't budge, and then I go down to the one end, and I'm pushing real hard on the bar in the middle, and finally it opens up a crack, and then I finally slip my fingers in there, and I slide the whole door open, and I'm able to get outside. So I get to the ambulance, and they get me checked out and everything. They find out that everything's fine, I'm doing okay. And then the newspaper articles come out, the newspaper reporters come, and the TV stations come there, and they do a story on it, of course, for the news, because it was pretty dramatic, of course, this a guy without legs escaping this fire. About 6 months later after that, I was contacted by an author, actually, and the author came up with an idea to write a children's book about that fire. And because it gained some publicity because of the incident that I was in, she thought it would be a good story to talk about how, courage that I had to get through it, and to also help talk about fire safety and things like that. So they wrote a children's book, and the book actually came out like a year later. And the book is called Help Fire. It was written by Doris Sanford and illustrated by Gracie Evans. After this book was written, I really got a lot of opportunities to go and share my story with a lot of different groups of people, starting with elementary schools, going there and sharing my story with little kids about fire safety and how to escape a fire, obviously call 911 and things like that. But also I got to share my whole life story. The book begins with me talking about how I lost my legs and things like that. It talks about kids with disabilities. And it opened many doors for me to tell my story. Not even just about the fire, but also about how I lost my legs and kids with disabilities and how they should be treated equally and things like that. I remember sharing this story at a elementary school one time, and I had a little kid come up to me and share with me about their brother and how he was disabled and some of the tough times that he had gone through being a big brother of somebody in a wheelchair, and things like that. And they could really relate, and I could relate to their story, obviously having two older brothers, and some of the stories and things that I've been through. And this young kid was able to open up and tell me some of the things that they've been through as well. And it was pretty neat. So the book was written a year later, and it was fully illustrated. There's a lot of really cool illustrations in here. The one that I find is the funniest one out of them all is this one, and the last one. Now this one I think is hilarious, and my friends, let me tell you, in college, they would just randomly, whenever they would see this book somewhere, or if somebody had it at their house, they would send me this photo. And they're like, hey, Dano, don't forget, we have this photo of you, And randomly, I would get it still to this day. People will send it to me, I think it's hilarious. But yeah, that's been a really cool thing that a lot of people have enjoyed the book and have learned a lot from the story. And it was really the first opportunity that I had to, as a young kid. I mean, I was 10 years old when the book came out, that I really got to start sharing my story with different groups, and I think that's what really led up to where I am today, and being able to share my story pretty much wherever I go, and many doors being open for me to share. Hey guys, that's where we're going to end the story, and we're going to head over to the kitchen.
Dick's Home Care can help you stay mobile. Dick's offers a full line of scooters to help with mobility both inside and outside your home. Take your scooter with you wherever you go with a scooter lift from Dick's. They are available for most vehicles. If standing or sitting is becoming difficult, a lift chair from Dick's will make life easier. There are many styles and sizes to choose from. And Dick's honors warranties and service on what we sell. Dick's Home Care, Central Pennsylvania's leader in mobility products.
Hi, my name is Thad Dick,
And I'm Aiden. We're the 5th generation of Dick's Home Care.
and our family is here for your health.
Purify O3 is the simple, effective way to clean your CPAP or BiPAP. It provides hospital-grade sanitation, killing 99.99% of bacteria and germs with the touch of a button. Everything you need comes in one affordable kit for just $1.90. It's available exclusively at Dick's Home Care, Central Pennsylvania's leader in home medical equipment.
Hey, y'all, welcome back into the dining room here. We're sitting down with the crew and my buddy Thad. You might recognize him from some of the commercials we air here on the show. And Thad is a connoisseur of macaroni and cheese, so he's going to try it and tell us what he thinks. So, guys, ready? Dive in here and let's give it a taste. What do you think, buddy?
It's exquisite.
One of the best.
I've had a lot of mac and cheese in my life, and I have to say this is at least top 3.
Top 3.
Yes.
All right.
Indeed.
I think I'd have to agree with that.
Nice, guys. Nice.
I concur.
Well, I appreciate that, Thad. Thanks for all your help, guys, in doing the show today. And thanks for stopping by, Thad. Give us your opinion on the macaroni and cheese. And thanks, everybody, for watching at home. And we'll see you next time on Dano on the Counter. Hey, if you have questions for me or about the show, please reach out to me at dano@danoburkhart.com. Also, catch all the episodes on danoburkhart.com.